Hey there, it's Renessa Boley Layne, and I want to welcome you to Creating Your Perfect Work. We are in the middle of our Love and Work Summit, and we are talking about the game of love and how to play it. Whether you are single or married, not dating, craving love, running from love, like wherever you are, there's something in this conversation for you. And, there's a Bible scripture that says perfect love drives out fear.
Mm,
And I firmly believe that when we love ourselves more perfectly, then we are able to love our partners more generously,
mhm.
right? And so when we get to a place where we can love people generously without expectation of it being reciprocated in the same way and all of that, that's real freedom. Like the insecurities melt away, the confidence and the self assurance builds. And not only does that happen in our intimate relationships, that same freedom and that same security translates into the marketplace, into our
Mhm,
career, into our business, into our leadership, and all of that. And so,
mhm.
I'm all about you getting highly paid to do work that you love. But I believe that the quality of our intimate relationships, the ones that we're currently in, the future ones that are yet to come, I believe that that fuels our ability to succeed in the marketplace as well. And so, this beautiful woman who is sharing the stage with me today is none other than Dr. Diana Kirshner. And Dr. Diana appeared on Oprah. She has an Amazon TV show titled Love in 90 Days, Finding Your Own True Love, based on her smash best-selling book, Love in 90 Days. And through her acclaimed coaching team, Dr. Diana has helped tens of thousands all over the world to create self confidence, success, lasting soulmate relationships. More importantly, though, Dr. Diana has been married for over 30 years. And that's all I need to know. So here's why I'm so excited about Dr. Diana. Sometimes you need somebody who's just going to tell it like it is. Not how you want it to be, not how your girlfriends think it should be. Tell it like it is. You need to understand how it is. And Dr. Diana is here to really share that. And what I've learned from her work, love is a game, but most of us don't know how to play it well.
Yeah.
We don't see men as they are.
Mhm.
As women, we don't see our needs as they are. We don't understand the human psychology of change like as it is. And so we try to fix things and we're giving it our best shot and it's not working and we're frustrating and we're making a lot of effort and all that kind of stuff. But if the effort is ineffective, if the strategy is ineffective, we're always going to hit that brick wall. And so in today's conversation with Dr. Diana, I want you to get out of your head, right? And I want you to walk away with practical tools. And I guarantee you there is one principle, there is a strategy, there is one perspective shift, and we're going to share like seven of them with you. That you're able, if you just take away one, it will move the ball forward in you creating more love in your life. And so, with that said, Dr. Diana, I just want to welcome you to the show. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much. I am so excited about working with you and your people. I mean, you just are fantastic,
This is,
fantastic.
this is going to be
And
awesome.
and to put together love and success, I mean, that's where it really is at. That's where it really is at. And when you can take your love relationship and make it work for you, have it work for you become more successful. You actually make more money. You actually can connect more easily with people because you're in a ground of belief in a really great love relationship. You said that Bible quote, perfect love casts out fear.
Yeah,
Well, it's
yeah.
interesting. If you are in a love relationship that is a really healthy one, there is a kind of perfect love there. There is a
Interesting.
kind of perfect love. And if you're with someone who is really believing in you, it tends to cast out fear, you
Oh,
know.
awesome.
So it's very, very important. And of course, this is our core. This is what means the most to us. When you're on your deathbed, people don't say, what I missed out on is doing more work, or I missed out on making more money. They say,
Yeah,
I missed out on love, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
this is really, really, really important. And the reason I tell it straight is because I work with the research about what actually works in love relationships, right?
Yeah.
Plus, of course, we've had tens of thousands of clients in our coaching business. So we know very, very well what can work and what does not work, you know, and
Yeah.
how it's when it's working, it really lifts you. It gives you the wind
Gives
beneath
you
your,
wings. Yeah.
yeah, beneath your wings. And when it's not, it's burying you in lack of confidence, feeling bad, obsessing about what's going on, lonely. And, you know, there's so much energy tied up in that, that
Yeah.
it's hard to do your work. It's hard to envision. It's hard to give yourself everything that you need in terms of being very successful.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you lay it out that way because I believe that there are, I know in my own personal relationship with my husband, when we are aligned, I feel like I can take over the world. Right.
Exactly.
And then when we are funking, we talk about, obsessing and like there is this, and I do a lot of self, personal growth. I do a lot of spiritual work.
Right.
I do a lot of work, a lot of the inner game. And at the same time, when we are funking, I see the correlation in how I show up in my business. I see the toil that it creates. I see the mind that's so totally distracted on this conflict that's been unresolved for 3 days. I see that.
Yes.
And so I'm glad that you put it out there because I think as women, we can sometimes see that as a weakness. Like, why am I, feeling this way, or why am I distracted, or why am I off my game? I need to just get it together and not give credence to that is how we're designed as human beings. And particularly as when as feminine women, that's how you react. And so being able to see things how it is, then you don't ignore stuff that's going on. You learn how to come back and solve the problem. And so my hope
Exactly.
is that just that little piece gives
Mhm.
somebody permission to
Mhm.
give a validation to the experience they may be having as it relates to their own love relationship, whether it's dating, marriage, or otherwise.
Mhm.
But before we get kind of into these 7 gems that I think you articulate brilliantly, tell us your love story. Tell us your
Oh,
background, what your perspective was on relationships early on, and how that
mhm.
shifted for you.
Mhm. Well, I was born into a family that was patriarchal, an Italian patriarchal family that only wanted boys, and I was the fifth daughter.
Okay,
So,
well,
yeah.
that's
So when I was
disappointing.
born, my father said, "Oh, another piece of crap. I don't want to see her." There was a very difficult childhood that I had. I would walk outside on the sidewalk outside my house and cry and weep that my parents actually had me. And I was told that I was stupid, incompetent, you name it. I mean, they did the best they could.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
really did. And But as I grew up, I really didn't believe in love, and certainly not for me. And I didn't believe in success for me either.
mhm,
Because these templates for who you are, these templates for what you can create in your life are based in parenting. It's the early childhood experience.
yeah,
And so I went on a search of looking for how to create love and success. And I studied everything. I got a master's degree and a PhD in clinical psychology. I did everything I could think of. And I got a coach who was amazing, who was absolutely amazing. I lucked out and I got a coach who, in a sense, was like a new parent to me. He was like a
wow,
new parent to me. And he looked at me and he said, "You're bright, you're brilliant. I never really was programmed that way. You can do anything, right?" And He helped me fall in love with a good guy instead of a bad guy, because I was always chasing guys who were giving me crumbs or were abusive or would disappear on me, right? Because that was the template that I had with my father. That was the template that the man is not going to love me, right? So he helped me with that. Um, and I was able to meet and marry my incredible soulmate because of having this kind of reparenting going
yeah,
on.
yeah.
And I might add, do my dream work. And I might add, not even having to do it financially anymore because it's been so successful.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that all came together because I was looking at some of the wounds, the deficits, that we all have them, these wounds and
Yeah.
these deficits. And I was able to actually fill them in. We are wired to, in a sense, be healed and reparented. That's the
Yeah.
good news. We really are. You can go home again. You can revisit your childhood and have the happy childhood you wished you had.
Wow. Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
you can. You can. You
Wow.
can. And what where that's supposed to manifest naturally is in a love relationship. In a great love relationship, you're kind of reparenting and healing each other's wounds. You're coming through
Interesting.
for each other in a way that you never had before. So if you were abandoned, a really great partner would be someone who pays attention to you and tells you how great you are, right?
Yeah.
If you were abused, your wounds are healed by being with someone who makes you feel safe, right? And
Yeah.
you do the same for him. I'm not talking about a rigid situation where you are endlessly the child and he's endlessly the parent.
Yeah. The
No,
codependence. Yeah.
in a fluid, healthy relationship that keeps reversing so that you give him safety, you give him belief, right? You
Yeah.
are there in a way that heals his soul, that heals his heart, that heals his mind, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is love in action.
Hmm.
That is real love in action. And about 10% of the couples in America have that going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when you have that going on, the really interesting thing is not only do you get more and more successful, each one of you, right? Because you have someone who completely believes in you and will brainstorm with you and has your back and
Yeah.
everything else, right? Um, but you also are able to love in a deeper and deeper and deeper way over time. So you wind up with an extraordinary relationship that gets better and better and better.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have never been more in love with my husband than today. Never,
Wow.
never. Because we're
After
all
30 plus years. Yeah.
yeah, we're always doing new stuff. We're always doing new stuff, right? And we encourage each other's creativity, and we're different all the time. We're really different all the time,
Yeah.
you know.
It's interesting. I love what you share about wounds, right? And no matter how successful we present to the marketplace, no matter how achieved we present, we all have wounds. We all have
Yeah.
things that we've overcome, things we've been resilient in, and yet we don't necessarily know how those experiences have shaped how we relate to other people,
Yeah.
right? So I was a girl who was bullied in school. Now, mind you, I was student body president, straight A student, cheerleader, like all the things. And on the outside, one would be like, oh my gosh, she's so confident, da 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 da. But I walked through junior high and high school being bullied by other girls, girls who looked just like me, who you would have thought would have been more aligned, and I so I went through my adulthood with some very clear guards, and I thought those were guardrails against other women, but those guardrails also created certain belief systems that I carried into my marriage as well. I didn't consider them wounds because I had overcome and I had achieved, and I was still, nothing held me back, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
But it's affected how I related to my husband. It affected how I projected things on or thoughts onto him. Well, he must be thinking X. Why? Because I had adopted some of those beliefs myself. I need
Hmm.
to prove X in the relationship when in actuality, he just was, he wanted a girl. He didn't want another dude. And so, but I didn't go into the relationship with this wounded badge. And
Hmm.
so therefore I didn't know that there was anything that needed to heal. Likewise, I didn't look at him as a wounded. I was like, he's very well adjusted and this
Hmm.
and that.
Hmm.
And as I've
Hmm.
gotten to know him over 10 years, I'm like, you got some things going on. Like
Yeah, yeah.
but I don't think he saw me as someone that he got to, he had the privilege to care for in that way. And I certainly didn't see that in him. And so it has taken time to even understand what the game was all about. I think we
Hmm.
we went into marriage well intentioned and mature enough. but not really recognizing what's really at the core purpose of us being united. And
Mm-hmm.
so in this conversation, for some of you, it's hard to go into the deep work until you take off some of the outer layers that feel safer. And so in this conversation, we're going to keep it somewhat safe for you and blow your mind on some of the myths around how men are, how you are, um, what you need, strategies that can really build your confidence, build your esteem in your relation, in your intimate relationship, and even in the marketplace. But one of these gems you say, Dr. Diana, is this idea. You often say that women must commit to relationships in the same way that they commit to careers.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us more about that.
Well, lately it's become a revolving door because, with all this, the dating that's going on, the virtual dating, the digital dating, it's like, oh, this one's not good. Oh, the new one, get me a new one, this is not working out.
Swipe left.
Yeah. And in marriage too, and in
Yeah.
marriage as well, right?
Yeah.
So we are kind of wired to throw it all away. We really are. And we will spend a lot more time figuring out how to make work work
Yeah.
than time figuring out how to make love work. And
Yeah.
yet, if you look at the two things, the love relationship is much more important than your achievements. It really,
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
So it's important to use that great brain. I know you guys have great brains. So I
Yeah.
want you to use your great brains in terms of learning how to make love work. And
Yeah.
there are ways to do that, even if your man seems unworkable. Let's say he's on a lower level of success than you, right? Or slightly different socioeconomic status. How can you actually make that work? How can you help him, help motivate him to grow, to be the best he can be, to be a fabulous man who is his ideal self, who just happens to be your ideal partner
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Uh, so sometimes you have to bring out the big guns if the man if the man is dragging his feet, and he's not keeping his promises and he's not developing himself and he's not, beating the bushes, let's say, out there to get a better job or, whatever, you can actually bring out the big guns. And there's a way to bring out the big guns that works. It works quite a bit. No guarantees, but what you actually have to do is give him what I call a cost of loss talk.
Uh-oh.
Now, this may seem like it's the opposite of working on your love relationship, but you know how this is. This is a paradox where you actually would say to him, you've told me many times you're really going to get out there, beat the bushes, and you have this intention of making an extra $100,000 a year, and you're not doing it. You're laying on the couch, and I just want to tell you, I want to let you know that I have decided that I need someone who's really creating their best self.
Mhm.
Now, you are fantastic because your best self involves this, this, and this. Okay. You're going to tell them real compliments, right? You're really clever. You're sharp. You're blah, blah, blah. However, if you're not putting that to use, I will have to back away from the relationship. Now, that is a cost of loss talk. That has to do with the big guns. Now
Yeah.
you can deliver that. It's not with screaming. It's not in anger. It's not a threat. It's not a threat. That's what makes it so powerful. It actually is the truth.
Mhm.
At that time, quite often the man will rise to the occasion. Quite often, if he truly loves you, he will rise to the occasion and he will beat the bushes and he will get that job and he will do great and he will be incredibly thankful to you
Yeah.
for
You know,
being tough, for being strong, for
yeah.
making a stand.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of times women are afraid to do.
Mhm.
When they're afraid to take that firm stand, things just kind of devolve and they just get worse and worse and worse. And basically,
Mhm.
there's no turning back. You get to a point in the relationship where it's gone, dead.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because what I hear from you is, and obviously she's using the example about the cost of loss conversation, and that's one example of, okay, here's a strategy to move forward. But the underlying piece of that is being committed to the outcome that you want in your love life, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So whether that is, if you've got, situations where, a partner needs to kind of get it together and raise up a little bit, or if it's that you just want a more dynamic, loving, passionate, real, intimate, connected relationship, that conversation is going to look different. Or if you're dating, it's going to, how this manifests for you is going to look different. But I remember this was years ago, and I'd gotten to a place, I was in my late 30s, mid late 30s, and I had decided, I was like, okay, the next guy I date, that's going to be the man that I marry. I wasn't thirsty about it. I wasn't, woe be unto me, but I had just decided that I was ready. And so I was like, okay, I had to make it fun, because if it wasn't fun, then it would have been torture for me. So I called my little campaign Operation Hottie. And I went on this campaign, and I dated men in Philadelphia, in San Francisco, in DC, and the Poconos. And I picked up all my, reached out to my friends. Do you know anybody who, like, I took my networking strategy to my love, strategy. But I joined online dating. I kissed lots of frogs, but there was this commitment around, I want this. I'm ready for this.
Yes.
And again, wasn't thirsty about it. Like and it was fun, and it
Hmm.
allowed me to actually be a much freer person than the typical rigid person that I was.
Hmm.
Campaign, did you not? In roughly 13 months, I was married.
There you
And
go, ladies.
and
There you go.
13 months I was married. 10 years later, right? I realized that in order to have a greater level of just awesomeness in my relationship, that's going to take a different and kind commitment. And so I've been wanting some changes. I'm married to an amazing man, and I still want it to be even more awesome. And yet, the commitment that I had in Operation Hottie is not the same commitment that I had. I just kind of thought maybe one day it'll just come together, right?
Hmm.
And one of my business coaches was like, you know what? Your relationship needs to be part of your business strategy, right there with your marketing strategy, your content delivery, which is what Dr. Diana is saying. There's a commitment that we have as women in the marketplace, that when we apply that, not in thirst, to our relationships, results happen, right?
Absolutely.
Results happen.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
let's talk a little bit about men, because there's this one gym that you had that I was like, oh yes, this is like a full glass of water. You say that men want to be with a woman who is happy and enjoying herself.
Absolutely.
Tell us what you mean
Absolutely.
about that.
This is biologically wired. This is really biologically wired. I was doing this radio show. It was men calling in and asking questions. So many men were calling in. They were married. And I would ask them, well, how did you choose your wife? And they would say, well, it was because I feel good around her. I felt good around her. I feel good around her. Right? Isn't that interesting? They're not saying because she was a size 6. They're not
Well,
saying because she had the perfect figure. They're not saying because she was
yeah,
young, right? Which is where
yeah,
women get hung up. Oh, I'm so old. I'm fat. I'm this, that, and the
yeah.
other thing. They were saying that they wanted to marry someone because they felt good in their presence. That tells you a lot, a lot,
Hmm.
a lot, a lot. Men are kind of wired to make women happy. So when you're having fun and you're enjoying yourself and you're laughing, they roll along with it and kind of feel like they're making you happy, right?
Interesting.
It's like your happiness is their happiness. And conversely, if you
Yeah,
are whining and bitchy and give them very little attention or cold, right?
yeah,
And you seem to be a very unhappy camper,
yeah.
um, they feel like they failed. They failed to make you happy. Men are wired to want to make you happy. That's the good news and the bad news. Sometimes that can feel suffocating, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But the good part of it is make yourself happy.
Yeah.
You make yourself happy. I want to
Yeah.
go get ice cream. I want to do this fun thing sexually. I want to play with this sex toy. I want to go to this super fancy resort, right?
Mhm.
And make yourself happy. Just go ahead and make yourself happy.
Notice what she didn't say is that he has to make you happy.
Mm-hmm,
And I think that's a real distinction
mm-hmm,
and a very convicting for me. And I know that somebody else is listening, you convicted too. Like, how much joy and how much life and how much vitality am I bringing into my own life?
mm-hmm,
As opposed to expecting that my husband or my partner has to co-sign with that. He has to be a part of all that. He's not interested in what I'm interested in, those
mm-hmm,
kinds of things.
mm-hmm,
And, for me, the biggest conviction around that was, again, I had come into my relationship with this perspective that my value in the relationship was equivalent to, the revenue I was bringing in. What am I contributing monetarily to the household? And so my mindset was always about, I got to grow this business. I got to grow this business. I got to grow this business. And my husband would complain, you're trying to wear the pants in the family. And then we got this feminist thing going back and forth and this and that. And so how I received what he said was like, what do you mean I can't, or you have a problem with me elevating you? Like, let's talk, let's get to the root.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
the reality is that he married a woman. And there is a feminine light that we get to bring to our relationships, the joy and the exhilaration and the softness that we can bring um,
Mm-hmm.
to any environment, not just in an intimate, to even in the marketplace. There is a light that women bring in the marketplace that would likely have far less fewer wars and
Yes,
other going on, right?
yes.
But that is part of our gifting. And I had conditioned myself to operate so with such a high level of masculinity
Mm-hmm.
that there wasn't much joy. Like that was what I was to bring, but I didn't value that. And so it took a while to even understand because it didn't have a dollar figure attached to it. It didn't have a title. It didn't have
Mm-hmm.
anything that felt like an accomplishment. But she's so right about this. You talk about men craving appreciation and validation. And I
Yes.
really need to speak to this because I think for many women, they don't see their love partners that way. They don't see that need. And
Mm-hmm.
and we don't honor that need.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about
Mm-hmm.
that.
Well, in addition to, being the change you want to see in your life, which is to be loving and happy and joyful, it's also very key to show appreciation and validation to your man. And research shows that couples that are really making it have a ratio of 5 to 1 of positive interactions to negative interactions, right? Now,
Yeah.
in very, very healthy couples that I've seen, it's even higher. It's like 10 to 1, appreciative, loving. Oh, honey, you're the best, little
Mhm.
squeeze,
Yeah.
telling him how fantastic he did at work or he did with the kids. Um, this is a thirst. This is a natural thirst that is so important to having a healthy marriage or
Yeah.
relationship. Very, very, very important. Appreciation and validation. Of course, that starts with you paying attention.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting at your computer or looking at your phone for the next deal
Yeah.
and figuring and figuring and figuring in your mind how you're going
Yeah.
to, set up your next workshop or course.
Yeah.
Um, no, you need to actually pay attention, real attention, even if it's just for a few moments
Yeah.
of pure present time connection and noticing your man just for a few moments. And
Mhm.
then noticing, oh, what am I really enjoying about him today? Oh, his
Yeah.
back is so sexy, so cute. Thinking of my last interaction with my husband. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, so that changes your vibe immediately,
Yeah.
right? It puts you in your feminine. It really
Yeah.
does put you in your feminine.
But how do you do that, right? I mean, and again, this conversation is very practical because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, especially if we get in ruts in relationship, or if you're in a rut in kind of the dating cycle and all of that, there are changes that can take time. There's changes that, that you got to, fertilize and put some work into. But the stuff that Dr. Diana is talking about is something that you could do today. Like,
Mm-hmm.
am I appreciating my partner enough? Did I actually say thank you for what he did? Did I
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge it? Did I put a finger on it? Did I turn my attention to that? Like, that is just something that in the moment can transform an icy relationship, or, a little bit of distance or disconnection, like in the moment. And then you get continue to work on the inner stuff and the wounds and all that kind of thing. You, it's interesting. You mentioned that I think I'm going to hit this one because I want to make sure we don't run out of time, and then I'll come back to another one. One of the biggest obstacles in maintaining a love relationship is navigating hurt and conflict. Um, what's the difference between how men process hurt and conflict, and particularly after disagreement or something like that, and how women do?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's very, very important. When men get upset, angry, frightened, whatever it is, it's like their internal engine get revs up. It revs up. It revs up. It revs up. It revs up. Uh, women also have that happening in terms of their internal engine if they're upset. However, there's a big difference. Men have a much harder time calming themselves from that stress reaction. They have a
Okay.
much harder time. That's why you'll see, like, your man, he's still having this fight or this upset. When you're over it, you're
You're
already
still in
over
about
it.
this still? It's been 3 days. You still not speaking to
It's
me?
still not right, right? Because it's very hard for them to calm down this stress response to anger, to rejection, to his being hurt. And when you understand that that's physical, it's nothing about you. I mean, it is about you, but it's not about you. The fact that he's having a hard time climbing down,
Yeah. Yeah.
you can be more loving, right? And give
Mhm.
him more space, which is another what I call real law of attraction,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is to give your man space, give him his man cave time, let him go, to his cigar shop or whatever he does, um, to give him, that space so he can calm himself down and just let it be, let it be. Um, it's very, very, very important. It's very important.
Yeah.
So,
So it's funny because the man wants his space and the woman wants to, we got to resolve this.
yeah,
We got to
yeah,
talk about it. We got to talk about it. And,
yeah,
and so then it kind of compounds the issue because
yeah.
your desperation to get it resolved and be reconnected goes against the grain of his need to,
To
be
calm,
out in the
calm.
pasture,
Yeah, to
for a
calm down.
while.
Yeah.
And misunderstanding that can create even more distance, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
we then take it very, very personally.
Yes.
You have this great strategy. You talk about partner focused prayer as a way to combat bitterness and resentment that can occur in a relationship. When I read that, I was like, oh, so good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tell us what that is, what you mean by it, and why it's so effective.
Well, there's a number of ways to do this. Now, what's really powerful is to actually pray for your partner every day without particularly telling them about it, or getting points or something from,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
pray for him to have everything you want for yourself.
Oh,
It's
okay.
everything you want for yourself.
Mm,
So, dear God, please, I would like Joe to be really happy, really fulfilled, very successful, deeply in love, having the most blissful service, to the world, whatever it is,
yeah.
to pray for that. Now, a really good way to pray is actually prayer as an affirmation. You can do it as
Okay.
an affirmation. So it's
Okay.
it's more of a gratitude. Thank you, God, for helping Joe to be the most incredible guy, he could ever be, to be calm, self-soothing, to be loving, successful. So you're actually, what's interesting is that what goes around comes around. Everything that you wish
Yeah. Yeah.
that you wish for him will come back to you. It
Yeah.
really, really will. And what happens, it's very interesting
Wow.
because you start shifting the way you see your partner,
Yeah.
right? So in a way, you might say you're programming him, right, to be all those things because you're
Yeah.
thinking about loving and, oh, he looks so loving today. Oh,
Yeah,
honey,
doesn't
oh,
he?
honey, you look so loving today. Oh my God. And I promise you guys that if you do this religiously, no pun intended, but if you do this religiously, no matter what's happening, it will shift everything.
Yeah. And but also it's you, right? Because you cannot be, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to be bitter at someone that you are blessing,
Yes.
right? And because we've all had those prayers like, God, strike him down, don't kill him, just break his legs.
And he deserved it.
But but I, I love this idea. Oops, that's my phone. I love this idea of praying for him what you want for yourself.
Mhm.
It takes a tremendous amount of humility to do that. It
Oh,
takes it takes a tremendous amount of strength. It takes a
yes,
higher level of love, especially if you feel wronged. And sometimes you are legitimately wrong. Sometimes it's our own perceptions or our own meanings that we give to something. And then
yeah,
sometimes legitimately, this
yeah,
joke was a joke,
yes,
right? But to be able to have a higher level of love requires so much humility and so much care, but you cannot be bitter and be blessing at the same time.
yes,
And so it really becomes for you as well, because that bitterness, that resentment is a distraction to your success. It's a distraction to your leadership. It's a distraction to how you walk into your job and how you interact with your staff or how you do that presentation the next day, right? And so this is actually freeing for us as well, so that then we can go 100% in the marketplace when we need to be 100% there, and we can come back home and be 100% where we need to be 100%. I love it. I absolutely I absolutely love it. It is it's tender, but it is so hard.
it's
It is
very,
so
very
hard.
hard. But even if you're not feeling it, you just force yourself to do it briefly, every
You'll
morning,
change.
let's say at a certain time, briefly every morning. And I might add, if you have any enemies, quote
Mm,
unquote enemies, pray for them.
hmm.
Now, I'm not suggesting that simply for them, it's for
Yep.
you. It's
Yeah.
for you to heal that upset. If you
Yep.
have enemy at work, if you have an enemy in your family, uh, the more you're feeling aggravated and resentful, the more draining it is to you and your health, right?
Absolutely.
This is
Absolutely.
so powerful. I can't even tell you. Every morning you pray for the people, right, who have crossed you.
Yeah.
And what happens quite often, by the way, is they'll come around, like your husband or your man will come
Yep.
around.
Yep.
Um, the enemies in the office will turn around, friends will turn around, family
Yeah.
frenemies in
Yeah.
the family will turn
Yeah.
around. They actually
Yeah.
will feel it, even though you're not telling them.
This is so cool because we were talking about the game of love and how to play it, but what I've heard from you is that you create love by loving,
Yes.
right? And so you're trying to create this love relationship, whether it's in dating or a partner or your, spouse or whatever. But the way that you get there isn't let me beat this person into submission, or as long as you see it my way. It is learning to love and to give love in such that that love comes back. And that's
Mhm.
a very counterintuitive way of looking at it. Our society does not approach relationships that way. We really approach relationships like, what am I going to get out of this? What are
Yeah.
you going to do for me? What am I going to get from you? And if you're not giving me what I want or need, then I got a problem. I'm either going to swipe left or I'm going to the X, what do they say? X man to the next man, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think this leads us to a great last point to close out on. one of the strategies that you talk about for women, regardless of their relationship status, is this idea of creating a love intention.
Yes.
Tell us what you mean by that.
Okay, it just as you would create an intention for work, you can create a vision, a detailed vision for what you want in your love relationship. So, for example, I have an extraordinary love relationship with deep passion, um, reciprocal support, and incredible children and a wonderful family life.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You state your love intention as an affirmation in the present tense, and you create it with the idea that there are no limits.
Mm-hmm.
There are no limits. Just the way you would do if you want to create a business. It's the same kind of thing. You create it as if there are no limits.
Mm-hmm.
I meet and marry an extraordinary partner who is right for me in every way.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has a different love intention.
Yep.
My current love intention is I continuously deepen my love with Sam.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have a love intention about meeting someone. You can have a love intention about your current relationship. Um, you can indicate what you want in it very specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Sam and I easily reconcile when we have our disagreements and wind up in a better state of love than when we began.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
This is
this
beautiful.
is what you want to commit to, right? This is what you're committing to, the dream. This is what you're going to have,
Yeah.
right? And it's a decision. It's a
Yeah.
decision. Just like you said, you made the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Because you made the decision, you got it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to noodle on a affirmation that includes everything you really want in a love
Yeah.
relationship, whether it's travel, service to the world, children, saving the the earth,
Yep.
whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is, mutually successful, collaborating together.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's the dream. My
Yeah.
husband and I often collaborate together, like we're doing some nonprofit work collaboratively, and it's very
Yep.
joyous and very amazing, very,
Yeah.
very amazing. But you
Yeah.
put your mind on what you want to create. People forget to do that. They'll do it when it comes to work, but not when it comes to the love relationship.
Yeah.
What are you up to creating? I'd like
Yeah.
you to write that down right now. It's very, very important. I remember there's one woman in our coaching program. She came in and she was kind of embarrassed because she wanted a wealthy man. She wanted a
Mm-hmm.
super wealthy man.
Mm-hmm.
She was kind of embarrassed. I said, no, that's your love intention. So
Yeah.
she wrote out the love intention. I'm married to an extraordinary, loving, incredible man, right? Who is a mover and shaker in the world, who adores me, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so she worked with her coach on that, and bingo, she got him. Super
Yeah.
amazing guy, right? Super amazing. Um, I I got to watch a video of their wedding. He gave her, of course, the most extraordinary wedding. He's
Yep.
building her perfect dream house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He asked her to stop working for a while, just to travel with him, which she was thrilled about. Thrilled.
Yeah, I could do that.
The wedding was so adorable. It was just so amazing. He gave a toast to, and it was really to her. And in this toast, he said, we have people here who are Nobel Prize
Mm-hmm.
nominees, other people, but the most incredible person here is my wife.
Yeah. Isn't that awesome?
And
And
that just made me tear up. When I saw that in the video, very loving man, very loving, very wealthy, is exactly what you wanted.
yeah.
Exactly.
But I want to punctuate this because, I'm a firm believer in the workspace you design with the end in mind. Like you got to get clear what that end looks like. This is so powerful because in the relationship, most times we focus on what we don't want. I don't want you to, I don't want, don't talk to me like that, or I don't like this, or this is, we look at the deficiencies, and what we focus on grows. What we put our attention on, that grows. And
Yes,
so what you're talking about is putting your attention on the intention of what you want from that relationship. So that
exactly.
then you are beginning to notice the seeds that are sprouting, and maybe it's better communication, or maybe it's more intimacy, or maybe it's more fun and adventure, or more connection, or whatever. But I would argue that for most of us, 85-90% of the time, our mind goes to what's not working, to what's frustrating us, to where's the lack, or what you're not getting, or what need isn't being met. That could very well be true. But focusing there is not going to turn that around. It's just going to create more opportunity for that. So I love this. I love all the gyms, actually, because every single one of them is something that somebody could do right now. Like,
Mhm,
it's not hard, it's not difficult.
mhm.
It's something. And so my encouragement to all of you, find the one that convicted your heart the most. Something landed and it was like, ooh, it landed. And that's the place where you get to start. And just that one decision, that one perspective shift, that one changing of the language pattern, can put you on the road to creating a love that really enchants you. And not only enchants you, but gives you the fuel to go out in the world and have the influence and the impact and the fulfillment that you crave in the marketplace, because it's not an either or, it really is a both and. With
Yeah.
that being said, Dr. Diana has an amazing free gift to offer you. And I'm all about the free gifts. Like, I'm all about the free gifts. And here's why, because you're on this conversation for a reason. And again, doesn't matter if you're single, or if you're married, or if you're divorced, or if you've got wounds and traumas and all, it doesn't matter. There is something in this series that is going to set you free, and it's going to be the breaking point that sets you in a completely new trajectory. So take the content, absorb the content, connect to her list, connect to her community, connect to her work, consume it, buy it, invest in it, all of that. But the place that you start is the freebie. So I'm going to allow you to kind of share what that is. And there is a link on this page. It might be below, it might be to the side, somewhere. Click that link, enter your name, your email address, and make sure that you get into her community and get all that she has to offer. She is awesome, as evidenced by our conversation. So share a little bit about your giveaway
Well,
and then wrap
the
it up.
best gift I could give everyone is a whole session, a one-on-one session with one of my incredible coaches who've all been handpicked and trained by me. They're extraordinary. When I did my PBS special, which I also did, I actually role reversed with one of these coaches because it was so daunting. And she worked with me in the green room, and it went beautifully. It went so beautifully. At the end, I fell to the stage weeping with gratitude. Three people in the audience were able to get married, and I don't know how many in all of America.
Yeah.
But you can actually talk to one of these coaches, and it will blow your mind. It will really, really help you no matter what you're dealing with. And all you need to do is go to Love in 90 Days. That's lovein90days.com. Click on the coaching tab, fill out the form. But here's the important part. You have to put in Renessa sent me. Renessa
Renessa
sent
sent
me.
me.
Yes, yes, because we often have to turn people away who want sessions. But if you say Renessa sent me, I guarantee you will get your session, and I guarantee you will love it. It will really
Yes,
help you change your
yes,
life.
yes.
So yeah, and she has the link down below. Just
Yep.
click on that link, go ahead, fill out the form, and put in Renessa sent me.
Yep. And we'll put those instructions there as well so that you don't forget. Take advantage when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And
Mhm.
so it's not a coincidence that the offer is being extended as it is today. And if you feel compelled to do that, make it happen. Commit. That was number one. Commit to making whatever shift that you're looking to make, even if you don't know what that shift is going to look like, and even if you're afraid of what that is going to mean for you, right? But I say all that to say, Dr. Diana, it has been a thrill, an honor, a privilege, fun, convicting, challenging, inspiring, every other adjective in that space. And I thank you for sharing your love, your wisdom, and your brilliance with our audience. And I'm so grateful to be able to be in this place and this time serving together with you. So it is my great honor. And with that, we'll both say bye bye to everybody, and we'll see you guys next time.
Likewise.
Bye bye.
Thank you.